we'll continue our discussion of coloring of my particular scene. I'm close. I'm close. I don't really care for this green down here. However, I do like the soft brown that I have. I like the steel effect that I have here. I like the shadows that I have here. I mean, I can go back over to the ambient, and I can kind of lighten everything up. I can play with the shadows a bit. You see, I can come down here and ambient shadow, and I could really kind of, you know, you want to get to a point where you've got a scene that is impressive. It's like vast. It's got depth. It's got character. It's got interesting coloring. It's got shadows and highlights and specular reflections and that sort of thing. But I am keeping in mind, can I animate through that? Because I have color layers along the z-axis, and I'm a little concerned that when I get to my keyframes, that whole coloring scheme may not look good. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to test that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this because I am going to, I'm going to get into, okay, I'm going to get here. All right. I'm calling that at session 60. Now, with it saved, I need to prove to myself that those colors are going to be okay when I animate through this scene. So I'm going to close this down. I'm going to call up my navigator. I'm going to pull the parameters over. I'm going to lighten it up so I can see a little bit better. And then I'm going to come over to my OBS and I'm going to turn on my stream deck so that you can see my animation. And I've just saved it so I can revert if anything goes wrong. Let me make a little point here. I could certainly set all my colors up here, navigate somewhere else, go set up the colors there, go navigate somewhere else, go set up the colors there, and it's sort of like I'm chasing a rabbit if I do that. That particular workflow will, I get a lot of entertainment out of it. I'll be able to sit behind the Mandelbulb 3D software for as long as I want. The problem is that if I make, now I'm talking about an animation now, an animation where I'm going to be moving through the scene. I'm not talking about a still. If I move my position and play with the colors, I probably have messed up the colors in the last position. All right, so I want to be careful that I don't chase the colors all over the place and move around and do the colors, move around, do the colors. But all I want to do right now is I want to test whether or not my color scheme is going to be consistent with my navigation through this scene. That's all I care about right now. So I'm going to get on my navigator here, and I'm going to move forward. All right, and we see what that looks like. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this. I'm going to call up my capture. I'm just going to capture this right here. I'm going to just put it aside for the moment. So this will give me a comparison. It's another little trick I do for workflow trick that I do. I'll show you. So I'm gonna move forward, and I'm really tearing down there. I don't care. I'm not trying to step it through. I'm not trying to do any keyframes right now. I'm testing whether or not my coloring is going to hold consistent with my movement through the scene. That's all I'm doing. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that over to main. Now, once I push that over to main, there's no way back. There's no way back other than reopening the file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that to the keyboard. I'm going to open up my notepad. And I'm going to paste that in my notepad. There we go. I got a quick, what do you call it? Restoration. So now I've navigated. I'll push this to main. I'll recalculate, and let's see how my colors hold up. Okay. Now, if you look at my previous capture now, you'll note here that as I moved my camera forward on the z-axis, my brown here in this third area, middle third area, now all of a sudden now is like most of my image area. So what this tells me is that as I navigate in this scene forward, my light, I'm sorry, my colors are going to change. They're going to change. They're going to change on the scene. That may not be such a bad thing. I may look at this and say, well, that's okay. I can live with that because the objects in my Mandelbulb 3D scene are entirely different than the objects were in this position of the scene. And it's almost acceptable that the colors would have changed on those brand new objects that came into view. That's almost acceptable. But this is how I go about determining whether or not I have got colors that are going to keep their integrity as I navigate through an animation. I'm not talking stills here. So let me do this. So I'm going to restore, Control A, and then Control C. I'm going to open from clipboard, recalculate. I'm back where I started because I'm going to do another test. I'm going to pull that back, the parameter back. Now, I had saved this before. I restored. Everything's the same. So I don't have to recapture the screenshot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate. I'm going to slide. I'm going to slide right, and I want to see if my colors hold up. So get on my stream deck here, and I'm just sliding, going way out, way out. All right. Now okay, here we go. Interesting. I'm going to push this to main, recalculate. I'm only interested whether or not my coloring is holding up. Interesting. So here is my before and my after. Moving my camera along the x-axis, the colors held up pretty good. Moving on the z-axis, the color bands changed, but the scene is varied enough where I could almost get away with it. Now I'm going to do a test on the y-axis move. All right, Control C, get that back on the clipboard. Open from clipboard. All right. Recalculate. Pull the properties, the parameters, pull them over to the navigator, so I've got a place to navigate. All right, that is my picture to begin, so I don't have to recapture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move along the y-axis. I want to see how my colors hold up. So here we go. I'm moving up. I'm sliding up, sliding up. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, I've got, this is the way far ground, far back. I've moved up. Now let's push that to main. Let's see how my colors held up. There's my old one. Okay. All right. So what I've done in this session is I've tested my colors by navigating around. And I see here that by navigating straight up, slide up on the y-axis, my color bands pretty much stay consistent, which is good. Moving along the x-axis, sliding, my color bands held up there too, pretty good. On the z-axis, well, the color bands changed, but the environment is varied enough where I could probably get away with it. So what I feel that I've accomplished in this session is that I have tested whether or not my coloring is going to, I should say, the integrity of my coloring and lighting is going to hold up to my animation through this scene. Again, I'm talking about animation. I'm not talking about still. Still, you don't care. Whatever looks good, it looks good, and you're going to render out a still, and there's no big deal. But when you're animating through the scene, your colors are going to be impacted by on the z-axis. They would also be impacted on the y and the x-axis. But I have determined that I can animate through this scene while the integrity of the coloring and the lighting pretty much remains consistent. I feel that I've got a good foundation for a really good animation through this particular scene with these particular colors, this particular lighting, and this particular graphic. So all the legwork that I've done up to this point, I feel that I'm not going to be in trouble, if you will, when I start animating through this scene, which is a good thing because you're going to put a lot of work into building your keyframes, and it's laborious work, and you don't want to be in a position where you say, oh man, I have to throw 9,000 frames away because it just didn't work. And I've been there. I've thrown away an awful lot of frames, and each one of those files took minutes to make, for the computer to make, to render, and I would throw 10,000 away at a time because I didn't foresee how certain attributes of my graphic, of my lighting, and my coloring were not going to play well with the animation. So we're over time on this session, but I think that that was an important point to go through to test the integrity of your coloring, which has a relationship to the z-axis, and the integrity of your lighting, because there's shadows involved, light sources, and also the integrity, or maybe I should say the interest of your graphic itself. All right. All right. So enough for now. Let's get a cup of coffee, and we'll pick this up in the next session. I'll see you there.